Alright guys, so for this project we are going to be mimicking a website that I created. And so I just call this the Noner Mimic project. Obviously your last name is not Noner, so you'll need to create your own one. If you go inside this should be the format of all the ones we're creating. We have an image folder inside it, that's going to house all of our images. A CSS folder, that's going to house all of our styling sheets. If we, so I have one index.html. I'm using Sublime. If you're using Notepad, it's the same thing. But the website that we have is 3 pages, so we're not good just having one. So we need to create another one. So the way you can do this, there's a keyboard shortcut, like the Windows new or Command new, but you can just go New File, and we need to save this as an HTML document. So one of them was we need to save this one as, there's a contact page, and so I'm going to save it as contact.html. And I need to create another new file, and this new file is going to be called, it's the schedule one, right? So I'm going to call it, I need to file save as schedule.html. So now I have my 3 main pages, and you can do the same thing to make a CSS document. Create a new file and save it as mimic.css. Make sure that you're saving that inside the CSS. It's going to make our lives far easier when we start coding. So I have all 3 of these. The first one, I'm just going to try to get my HTML correct in my index. An index, remember, is your home page, right? So let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to minimize that real quick. In our documents, we had some images, right? And so when you unzip this file, there's 2 images. What I did is I just dragged those images into my own image folder. So you see how they're not there anymore? That's because I want to use them in my project. Right now I just have these 3 screenshots to go off of. And this is the first one. I'm just going to minimize it so I can see it a little bit more clearly and code at the same time. And pretty quick, I just made a mess of the screen. Sorry guys. So let's take a look at these pieces and see if we can figure it out. The very first thing we want to do is I want to say, listen, I'm making an HTML web page. And we always start with our HTML tag. Right? And give ourselves a little bit of space here and close that down. They've got to match each other. I'm going to indent one and I'm going to start with the head. The head, remember, it doesn't actually appear on our website. The head is the behind the scenes on the website. And so we can give ourselves a title here, but remember, this isn't like the title of the page like that appears on the top. This will be in the tab, right? And so in our project, we won't be able to see this. We don't have the tab here. But you could call it Cross Country at Wilson, right? That title thing is often misunderstood as like the header, right? Where it says Wilson Cross Country right here. That's not the title. The title's up in the tab. The next thing that we got to do is we've got to link inside of our head. We got to link that to our CSS. Otherwise, the 2 documents won't communicate with each other. So I say, you know what? There's this style sheet that I got to get to, and so you're telling it what it is, and then you say, you know what? How can I find it? Well, our document in this, our document is right here, index. So we need to say, how is it going to get there? Well, index needs to go first into this CSS folder, and so I say like this, go to the CSS folder, and inside that thing, what are we looking for? We're looking for it to be mimic.css. And now those 2 are linked together. Now what I want to do is I want to start the body of my website. And the body of the website is everything that's inside of it that is visible. So if I start the body, I've got to close the body at some point. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of room in between here. So there's some key things inside the body that we want to put in. And we're going to start from the top down. The very first thing inside the body is going to be our header. So the header right here has a couple things. I'm just going to call this one H1 tag. And I'm going to say that it's Wilson Cross Country. And underneath my header, I'm also going to include my navigation. And in my navigation, I'm going to create an unordered list because it looks like home, schedule, and contacts. They're like a list of sorts, right? And I'm going to create some list items like this. I have one of them. Copy, paste, paste, and then I'm going to close down my unordered list. So in between each of these list items, I need a link between my pages, right? And so I want to create an anchor tag that does that. So my first one is back to my home page. That's my home. So that's just going to go to index.html. Unlike up here where we had to go into the folder CSS, this is right next to each other, so we can just label it like that. And I'm going to label that home. With anchor tags, remember to close them down. Similarly, I'm going to create a link to my other two websites. I have a schedule and contacts. So it's important to get these ones correct. Correct. So I want, the first one is schedule, and so it's schedule.html. Schedule.html and schedule. And the final one is the contacts. So I want to link that to my contact page, which is contact.html. And close that down and contact. The reason why we're making this an unordered list is it'll be easier for us to edit all of them like it. So if I look at my HTML, now I have my header, and inside my header I have my navigation. So I'm going to close down my navigation, and I'm going to close down my header. The next thing I got to start the main part of my website, which we can do with a section tag. Inside my section, I have another Wilson Cross Country right here. I'm going to have this as an H2, header 2, and Wilson Cross Country. Like all tabs, close it down. Directly after that, I have an image. So I have to link to that image of the people about to start the race. And so if I look at my document, here I am at my index. I need to get to that image. So I need to tell it to go to the image file, the image folder. And inside the image folder, right here, there it is. It's cross country start.jpg. We can give this an alternate identity. So if the link is broken, this text will appear. Broken, sorry. Obviously we're pros and this will never be broken. Just below that, we will have a paragraph. Right? And I'm going to copy and paste that text in here. Now the final thing, so this is my main page right here, my section. Now I have this footer, right? And and my footer is still inside the body of my website, but it's outside of my section. So in here, I want two things. I want an image source. I need to get to that cross-country picture. So similar to what we did last time, I have to tell it to go inside that image folder. Here we are at index. Go inside the image folder, and there it is, cross-country JPEG. If this is broken, we can just have that same thing broken. Sorry. And that'll create the image. Underneath that, we want to create just a little bit of paragraph that says Wilson cross country. And now we close down our footer. So our footer and footer are closed, our section and section are closed, our header and header are closed, our nav and nav. Everything's kind of on top of each other. No missing links. And we did that in 30 lines of code. In fact, actually I'll just make it all nice and neat there. 28 lines. So that's how we do the HTML for our index page.